This is DMP Kenya, and welcome to Turning the Mirror podcast. This is where we bring you the reflection of politics and governance across our country, Kenya. And today we are setting our focus on grassroots politics, and we are headed all the way to Ugunja Constituency, that is right in Siaya County, Nyanza region. And on the bench, I have a very special guest, one of the contenders of the Member of Parliament position of Ugunja Constituency. Kindly introduce yourself briefly to our audience.
My name is Olengo Kwach. Others also call me Vincent. I was born and raised within Ugunja Constituency. I also did the better part of my childhood training and studies within the constituency, starting my schooling at Sijimbo Primary School, then went to Sidindi Primary School for my class 7 and 8. Then I did my Form 1 to Form 4 at Simenya Secondary School. That is when then I went to Kenya Mass for my media studies. I'm a lover of development, a lover of peace, and a lover of everything that is good to humanity. Yes.
And now that the position you're eyeing currently, we've seen a number of people, I can call them aspirants or candidates, who are setting their eyes too on this position. And why are you also here, or you're just one in the many?
You see, everyone of all the contenders might be having a vision for the constituency, which is good because then it means people are interested in the development of our community. But every individual has that thing which is standing out. And personally, in my desire to represent my beloved Ugunja constituents at the National Assembly in the upcoming by-elections, I pledge to be the embodiment of the true Ugunja spirit of selflessness, responsibility, fairness, courage, hard work, and commitment to social justice. I will leave no stone unturned to enhance the growth and development of the constituency. And as a matter of fact, I am so much concerned when it comes to projecting and embodying a firm, respected, consistent, and informed voice in the parliament. And this will always ensure that we have myself and the community forge and maintain a positive working synergy with all the leaders across the divide, the youths of our community, and even the community organizations to ensure that our area is developed. Then we must also ensure that there's prudent utilization of the constituency funds for genuine, people-focused, transparent, and verifiable projects and programs. Yes.
And now, as you've put it up there, that the vision you have for the people of Ugunja is to have a secure Ugunja with a strong economy. How do you actually plan to arrive to this?
When we talk of any economy, be it a country, a state, a county, in our case Kenya, or a constituency, or even a ward, for an economy to grow, there must be security. And when we talk about security, there are so many things involved. And there are so many ways I'm going to achieve this. Among them, we have concerns which are placed us as a youth agenda. We have health, we have education, we have environment, we have infrastructure development. Of course, we have agriculture, and when we talk about agriculture, we take it to go hand in hand with trade. Then we have talents, which in many occasions you realize that talents develop countries and develop people. And in our case, talents are just there. They are just relaxed, and we have a lot of talents around. Then we have women and vulnerable groups. They also have very special things for them. And then we also have key people, which are very important for our economy in Ugunja, the border sector.
You know, Kenya has had a lot of things recently in just a span of 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of things happening in our country: politics, economics, social life, even in education, so many things, and there are so many changes. And recently, we even saw the Gen Z revolution. We see youths coming out to express themselves. They are saying that going forward, they will be looking for candidates who have their best interests. And also, Ugunja as a place also has youths. I believe it is just as in Kenya, the biggest of the population of Ugunja, the youths. Do you specifically have anything good for the youths? Now that you are also a youth, a Gen Z, or perhaps not?
You are very right. Over 65% of our population in Ugunja are actually youths. And basically, when it comes to also the voting bloc, youths are also making the better part of Ugunja constituency. So you see, one key important thing is that I'll ensure that the youths are provided with a strong voice in decision makings when it comes to things that affect them, the opportunity to pursue their dreams, and a chance to join a new generation of leadership to shape the future of Ugunja. Remember, most of the challenges we are facing today are challenges that can be solved with technology, challenges that can be solved, or the solutions lie majorly with the young population, because they are the people who understand what is affecting them directly, and then they can solve this to ensure we solve also the challenges that might face the next generation. So having this generation as the majority of the population, then it means the challenges that are facing the community, they are the most affected. So they are supposed to be involved in key matters when it comes to decision making. Then if you look around the whole country, the same way it is across the country, it happens also in our constituency, that in many occasions we just give handouts. You realize that most politicians, most political leaders, when they come around, they give our youths handouts in the name of 200, 500, 100. And what would that really do to a human life? Because if you give me 200 today and I use it, that is the end of it. So I'll also have to look for what I use tomorrow. So my major concern and my major initiative here is that I want us to ensure we come up or we form a youth investment club, not one but several of them within the constituency, so that every ward have a youth investment club or youth investment clubs, which are channeled towards different investments. And then through this, when we form these clubs, then we look for soft loans and grants for the youth, so that we help them create or involve in activities as a club that in return generate income for them today and even in the future. Because that is the long-lasting solution to to what we can call financial financial independence, yes. So instead of giving handouts, let's have these clubs. Then bring coaches. We bring people who are experienced in the field of business, in the field of entrepreneurship. They coach our youth. We have workshops. We have them also visit other places to see what people do, and then through that we empower them. So you don't just give somebody a soft loan or a grant without telling them or empowering them and having them know exactly what they are going to do with this. So with that, I'm sure we are going to actually grow. Then I'm also planning to ensure that we facilitate gainful employment and access to poverty reduction schemes of the national government, and that means at our constituency, the constituency level, so that we ensure that the communities which are less fortunate, which actually we can say that if you look at them, I don't really want to say poor, because I won't really want such a term or to use such a term, but then I want us to ensure that the less fortunate in the society, we ensure we also raise them, so that as a constituency, we are somewhere at the same level. And it is very important to also have youth peer clubs to tackle socio-economic issues related to reproductive health, the health in general, education, life-sustaining skills, and income-generating activities. Through this, you'll ensure that most youths, and actually all youths, will be more concerned on how they can develop each other, develop the community, develop their homes, and actually avoid taking part in illegal activities that would in turn compromise our security within the community. There are so many things I want us to do. Actually, when I talked of talents, it is still under the youth program. Because remember, if you look around globally, talents are among the top paying jobs across the globe. You see people paid very well in sports, like soccer, athletics. We have people paid very well in films, those who are good in acting. We have people paid very well in volleyball, like all these talents around music. So I'm planning to ensure that we build, when it comes to arts, culture, music, I'd put it arts, culture, music, and capacity. I'm saying it that way because everyone has different capacities and capabilities when it comes to skills and talents. So I have a plan of building the initiatives that will support and promote all these what we would call talents and skills, so that we have artisans do what they can do best, we have musicians do what they can do best. So we'll have a sports center and several other branches within the Ugunja constituency. So those who do music will have music in place. Those who do soccer or these hard talents will also have very good fields. We'll have very good fields around so that we empower these talents. There are so many things in the basket for the youths. Let me just let you or leave you with those few for now.
Just one question about that. You know, Ugunja is a place I know has produced so many artists, especially in the music industry, just locally, even outside the country. So many of them. We saw some of them at the late, even in sports football. We have names from Ugunja.
Yes.
You know, you've spoken about these special sports, and what is in the limelight currently and even across the world is about football. How do you really plan to bring to take these youths from Ugunja also to display their skills out of the world, out of the country, and also into other podiums? And also, how will you be able to identify them, to make them coached up, and will you also introduce ladies to the sport so that it will just be the narrative of men and boys all time again and again?
Let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I've taken part actively in the sports within and without outside Ugunja. I'm a sportsman, and I've played and I've also taken part in the officiation of some of the sports within Ugunja. I can tell you as a fact, there's talent in Ugunja constituency. The best we can do is to ensure that let's not just organize constituency or CDF sports or so and so sports because you are a candidate or you are a politician, and then after the tournament is over, we leave it at that point. What we are going to do is, one, after we have structured or ensured we have a good infrastructure for these sports and talents, then we will be actually having our leagues within the constituency so that we have different teams, different ones compete. And during such competitions, which will start at a very low level up to the finals, during all these competitions, be it from the group stage, we will have scouts from these established clubs within the country and even outside the country come or send their scouts to these sports or to these tournaments so that they can scout one or two of our players and then take them to or have them play for their teams. Again, we are going to ensure that we establish very strong sports academies within our constituency so that we have talents nurtured from very young age to an old age. So once you are out there playing or using your talent to earn a living, it is easier for you as an individual to pay back to your community, but also ensuring you hold a hand. So we are going to ensure we nurture talents, both as a constituency, so that even as they play within the constituency, as you use your talent within the constituency, you are earning something. Yeah? And then we use that also to ensure you grow. And once your talent is spotted, we can also support you and facilitate your movement or transfer from the constituency level to now the national or international group. When it comes to music, let me tell you the truth. I've visited several families of the artists those who Kiswahili would say walivoma, jomane pek seriously chon. I've visited these communities, these families in person. I've even done their stories in our sister channel called the Satmama Productions. I've visited these families, and I can tell you, we need to do something because our artists, once they're out of the limelight, something like music, for example, is seasonal. You have just some time when you are in your prime, and once your prime is gone, then you have that big name. But if you didn't plan yourself well, then you again come back and or at times languish in poverty, or you realize that you are now just a laughing stock. So we need to ensure that as we empower our musicians to do the best things they know how to do best, we also empower them so that they know how they can use that talent to empower others and also empower themselves and their families, so that at the end of the day, when you're out of your prime time, you can still enjoy the fruits of your intellectual property.
Africa in general, Kenya included, and also Ugunja in place, we realize that the backbone of our economy is agriculture. And we know that women are working in farms, small scale, some in large scale, which are few, and also our men and our families are so dependent on agriculture. And now Ugunja, several families, I know, I'm sure, that even more than 50% of them depend in different agricultural activities, either farming or even agribusinesses, and just different sorts of. And what's your plan? Are you also planning to include this in your, maybe the things you needed to do and you're going to work
briefly? Let me just talk about it briefly, because I have a long and extensive plan for the agriculture. Because again, let me, as a fact, initially or today, majority of the people invest in real estate. But in the next 5 or 10 years, agriculture is going to be the top investment activity or investment sector in our economy as a country and even globally. So agriculture is one very key area that we have to invest in as a community. We have no option. So briefly, you see in Ugunja, if you walk around, you'll realize that majority of those who are doing or taking part in the agricultural activities, they are either doing it just as peasant farmers or are doing it as full-time farmers, but they are not gaining as much as what they should be getting from these agricultural activities. So one of the things we are going to do is that we are going to bring people who are the professionals in the agricultural sector to the ground. They are going to test our soil, every ward, every village. They are going to test our soils and then advise that which of the crop would perform better within our area, so that we have our farmers just concentrate on exactly what to do best within their area. You remember majority are farming odoma. You know odoma? Maize. Majority are farming maize. And initially it was doing well, but today they're not doing well. Most of our farms kind of, I want to believe maybe the nutrients or something is not just adding up. And so our maize production is not as good as it should be. So we are going to ensure that these soils are tested. Then they advise us on the best crop, the best seeds. And then we have our farmers from different wards, different villages, only concentrate on the exact crop that is going to help us have the best production. I recently had someone talk of cassava, that cassava does so well in Nyanza. We will ensure that we have the best production that is even above our own consumption, so that we export it to our neighboring constituencies, counties, the whole country, and even outside. So that is one of the things we are going to do. Again, number 2, we are going to ensure that we promote the diversification in the farming by encouraging and supporting viable options. Just what I've said. So that we have horticulture, fish farming, dairy farming, beef farming. So aside just the crop farming, we are going to ensure that even those who are interested in the livestock, like we are going to diversify our production, so that we concentrate on different aspects, different things based on the farmer's interest. And at the end of the day, we ensure that we have the best production for our community at large. Then we'll ensure that we minimize the dependency on rain-fed agriculture. Remember, with the climate change, you can no longer tell when the rains are going to be there and when the rains are not going to be there. In as much as, yes, we know at this month we expect rains. At times the rains come, but in a very, not enough for our agricultural productions. Sometimes you realize that our crops are burnt down just within the farms. And this in turn just brings a lot of losses and discouragements to our farmers.
Sure.
So we are going to ensure that we minimize this dependency and ensure that we use what we have to do irrigation. In Ugunja constituency, we have one of the biggest rivers in the country, River Nzoia. So we are going to use River Nzoia. We will use, if you walk around, you'll realize there's another source of River Nzoia we call Uoroya. If you walk around, you'll also, within Sidindi, you'll also see there's another source of River Nzoia we call Siga. So we are going to ensure that we use our sources of waters, the natural sources, such as River Nzoia and Uoroya, for irrigation in the greater Magoya, Madungu, Mungao, Rangalangu, Lower Mbira, Asere, Ginga, and Ligega areas, among others. Then we will use Siga for Sikalame, Muhola, Sijimbo, and among other areas. So Ugunja, we have 3 wards, and all the wards have very good natural water sources. So we are going to ensure that we bring the professionals in that sector. Then we use these natural sources to help us in irrigation for the small scale and large scale farming. And they will also use the green economy. We bring the people within, we use our solar panels to help us pump water to our homes, so that as we do agriculture, we also have every home access clean water for consumption. Yeah,
sure. You mentioned something to do with climate change. You know, it is something, it's a crisis across the world, and every leader is speaking about it, and the whole humanity is at tense that what must be done. We're losing our planet. And Ugunja is also one of these places. And it therefore means that we must also look into things like environment of Ugunja constituency, that involve things like tree planting, even if it is trees that produce food, provides shelter, and even in the small things, these things can help us with. So is there any plan, or maybe is this included in part of what you're planning to do for the people of Ugunja?
Okay. Actually, this one will even start before we are even elected into the office. You see, our community can do so well when we have these fruit producing trees around our area. And therefore, I'll be advocating for every home having at least 3 fruit producing trees, because again, it will help us in terms of environment, conservation, and it is also going to help us economically, because then we will be selling the fruits. So we are going to have every home at least have 2 trees for avocado, 2 trees for mangoes, 2 trees for, like, if this village has these kind of fruits, then this village, the neighboring village, has different fruit producing trees. So we ensure that at least this village can buy from this village, this village can buy from this village. So buy Ugunja, build Ugunja. As we conserve our environment, we are also growing economically, and then with time we also export these.
Which fruits work best in Ugunja?
In Ugunja, there are mangoes, we have guavas, we have oranges, and we even have banana. Yeah, Ugunja does so well in a lot of fruits. We even have others, I only know their name in Luo language. In Ugenya, there's this we call I know you laugh, but anyway, I'll take you through all that when our time comes to launch our manifesto. I would have ensured that we have both their names in our Luo dialect, Swahili, and English, because then we would have the professionals within that department ensure we know exactly what we are doing. We will ensure that we raise awareness and understanding within the constituency of the link between environment and development, and actually promote individual and community participation in environmental conservation. We will always encourage tree planting and conservation of native tree species, particularly in wetlands and rainfall catchment areas. Because remember, the trees help us maintain and conserve our natural water catchment areas and rainfall catchment areas. So we'll ensure we seriously advocate for that. We will conserve and enhance natural and man-made heritage of Ugunja constituency, including biological diversity of unique ecosystems. Yeah. Then we will also improve conditions and productivity of degraded areas, including the quality and supply of fresh water, and promote local and international cooperation in the management of the ecosystem. And lastly, among other things, because in every area you are talking about, have an overstretch of a plan that we need to achieve as a community. So we'll always organize annual constituency environmental awareness campaign events. And during these events, we'll always have people who have experienced the toughest climate change challenges and experience such firsthand, so that they ensure we do that which is necessary. Yeah. So we will have those who have been affected by drought, those who have been affected by floods, like those who have been affected firsthand, come and share with us their experiences. Then we have professionals also tell us what we need to do. And as Ugunja, who are blessed because most of our areas are not adversely affected, we can ensure that we maintain and conserve an environment and ensure we are never adversely affected with the climate change.
Again, there are these people in our communities who are able differently, like they have different diseases like HIV and AIDS. We have people who are not capable to do one or two, they're limited in maybe in body structure and that and that. And we have them in our communities, and these are people who deserve support from us as the members of our community. So as the member of parliament, what would you do to them?
You see, initially we were seriously dependent on the international bodies to support the vulnerable in our community. But now with the things which are changing and shifting, it is high time that our people wake up. Because you see, with the call of USAID, among other things, you realize that our people are going to suffer if we don't come through for them. So if at all the people of Ugunja fail and buy my ideology and have me in office, then I'm going to ensure that we provide special consideration to people with various disabilities who have excelled in academics, in accessing scholarships and bursaries, to ensure that there is further the education and ensure they are better placed to also empower their families, empower their people, and also empower people that are able differently, just the same way they are. Then I'm also going to ensure that we establish a special fund to cater for subsidized training and empowerment of people with disabilities in various arts and crafts. Because remember, today it's easier for you to earn a living with hands-on skills. So we'll ensure that we train them on these skills, even those who maybe because of one or two have not managed to go to schools. Then finally, because we have an overstretched plan again, a stretched plan, but let me just touch on it because of time. We are going to ensure that we have in every ward, we are going to have centers of education to ensure that our people, we don't have something like what I've just mentioned in my immediate statement, that those who have not managed to go to school, we are going to ensure that we have special education centers which are going to ensure we train these people. And by God's grace and support from within the community, because we are going to live and talk as a people, we are going to ensure that we try and source for funds for these institutions, so that at the end of the day, we don't have to get these people or force them to pay for school fee. For those who can, we will have them pay for it. Those who cannot, we will have them also learn, because we would have ensured that these institutions are funded. And when we manage to get full funding, then all those who are able differently, we'll ensure that they get skills, they get trained, they get education free of charge from the centers. Yes.
And you know that something like infrastructure, it encompasses a lot of things. We know things like roads, health centers, we have the market, we have even the schools, both primary, secondary, and even tertiary institutions. And just my question to you, what's their state currently in Ugunja, and what are you planning to do about it?
In Ugunja, we have some roads which are doing well. There are others which were done, but they are currently having a lot of potholes. We have roads which are bad. Yeah. And those that are bad are so many compared to the ones that are good. So the major roads, which we can say that are meant for the national government, then as a member of parliament, as I represent my people, then I would try and ensure that I push the much I can so that the national government can come and do the necessary within our community, because it is our right that we get such developments from the national government. Those that are within our capacity as a constituency to do, then we'll ensure we either maram them, but for the long term, we tarmac them. Others, we can even use what we see used in several towns, several cities. Yeah, and ensure that we have a well-planned structure for our community when it comes to roads. Then when we are still under infrastructure, you know, we must ensure that we procure an earth mover to be on standby for regular grading of all feeder roads within the constituency. That is something that is very possible. With, you know, between now and 2026, we still have the CDF running. So after that, then if we now don't have the CDF running, then we now have to use our links. Yeah, we have to use our links and skills and ensure that we have people who are interested in invest within our community. We have to also ensure that you know, we have this rural electrification program. A matter of fact is that it is true they are trying. We have several communities that have been connected to it, but we'll also have to ensure that we fast track that and ensure that all our homes are connected to this electricity. And even if the national government would have stopped doing it, we will still do it as a constituency, because then we would still have access to. It's not good to tell people exactly your links, but we'll ensure that with the links we have these things done, and as a community we can always also come together and chart a way forward, because I want to advocate for a community that solve its challenges from within, because every solution to any challenge that is within a community is best solved when we use the very solutions from that very community. So we will also ensure that we expand we advocate for the expansion of police installations, police posts, and the police stations, and promote community policing as well as optimal deployment of security personnel in the constituency. And we just ensure that we establish police posts in major trading centers. Because then the major trading centers, if we have the major police posts, then we would have tried to curb the insecurity. Because a trading center is a very key area for the backbone of our economy as a community. So we must ensure that those areas are secured. I can tell you as a fact that most of our trading centers are still raided to date with criminals, others with guns, others with very crude weapons, and they take away the hard-earned money, hard-earned investments, hard-earned, like, things that people really sweated for to gain, and it really pains me. So we must ensure that that comes to an end. There's so much we need to do as a community in terms of infrastructure. Schools, we need schools with good classrooms. Those that are bad are renovated. Schools with a good number of students which lack the best places for study, we have their classrooms done. And we've seen that done by Ndidi Nyoro in his constituency. So it is possible, it is something that can be done. We have the best schools that can produce the best brains. And remember, Nyanza is a good place with best brains. So we can also ensure that our schools are well done. We have our markets well done. We have our chief's offices, administrative offices well done. And like, in terms of infrastructure, there are just so much we need to do. Because of time, we cannot actually say one by one. But when the time comes for us to launch our manifesto, the people will hear for themselves. Yeah.
And we also have these women groups and women empowerment organizations. Do you have a plan for them?
Of course, women, you know, it is said that if you have women in your space, then things cannot go bad. That is why men, even in the house, men are living a good life when the women are at peace with them. So we have to empower our women. And remember, we will have to work closely with all women groups in identifying and prioritizing issues affecting women in the constituency. I don't want to sit somewhere and assume that this is the problem the women are going through. This is the problem the people that are living with people that are able differently are going through. It is that specific group that we will sit down with them, We work closely so that they can help us identify the very challenges they are going through, be it youth, be it women, be it the older generation, our elderly, be it people living with disabilities, so that we identify those specific challenges that they are going through, and then we help solve together. So we will we will support the establishment of women village saving and loan associations at the sub-location level to promote income-generating activities and apportion at least 15% of the constituency revenue allocation for grants to the women saving associations. We will also mobilize women to form producer or income-generating activity groups in the constituency and facilitate their training on basic business and financial management. We will also prioritize the widows and old women in initiatives that seek to expand electricity and water supply, because then these are very vulnerable people in our community. So we must also prioritize them. We will also introduce special incentives to minimize school dropout rates among girls and facilitate the readmission of girls who may have dropped out due to early pregnancies, among other reasons. Because it is said that what men do at times is only visible in our women, and at times these factors get them out of school. So we'll ensure that they are in school intact, and even those who maybe might have left school for other factors or even early pregnancies are back to school and learning. Then we will advocate for establishment of more girls' secondary schools, maybe in each location and in the constituencies, because it's good if we can have them, instead of going all the way to other boarding schools out of our constituency. That would just help other constituencies. So we can even have these girls' schools within our constituency, even if some of them are day schools. We have them talk girl matters as they study and learn. They talk girl matters as they learn. So that would help us. And even with the current education system, the CBC, you realize that as they get hands-on skills with them, they also learn how they can grow as responsible women in the near future. Yeah.
I've seen you've highlighted a lot of things even previously concerning education and supporting education of different groups. And it's true that in Ugunja there are so many dropouts that here we have students in secondary schools who cannot pay their fees, and they're dropping out of school. They have nothing to do. They are trying to find support in different places. Some are in tertiary education schools, and even outside Ugunja, some are in universities all over the country, but they cannot maintain the fee payment, and they're forced to get back home and have nothing to do, and maybe their lives gets ruined from that point. So do you have any plan for them, or maybe are you going to organize it or give them some form of support?
Actually, let me start by saying that we are planning to dedicate a minimum of 15% of the constituency revenue allocation for the expansion of education infrastructure at all basic levels in the constituency to boost school entitlement rates and foster conducive learning environment, so that we don't have people drop out of schools just because of the learning environment. Then we will also support the establishment of ICT, the information communication technology infrastructure, in at least 3 schools per sub-location per year. So that as long as we still have a good revenue allocation for our constituency, we ensure we do this. And once that will be cut off because of the CDF and all that, we will always still ensure that the links we have around will always help us do that. And if we want money to do 3 schools per year in every sub-location after the CDF is withdrawn, then we can always have to do 2. Because there are so many people who are interested in education, and they would seriously invest in that. We would initiate an education fund to provide scholarships and bursaries to bright but needy students. Wachana na ile kalongolongo watu wanacheza, because you realize that most of the families that get these bursaries, most of families that get this support, some of them are capable of doing it. So we want the real needy families to get this kind of support, so that we have both people. Education is an equalizer, so that we have both everyone go through the education system. And then we will advocate for the rights of all teachers and actively support initiatives locally and nationally aimed at improving their welfare and preserving their dignity in the discharge of their noble responsibilities. Remember, teachers are very good people. Teachers are the people, even if you just want to do music, you must learn it. Yeah? You must first learn how to do it. And remember, these are people who coached us all the way from when you were young, you don't even know how to write your name. Today you are speaking good English. Today you are somebody like you writes very good books. So teachers, they need to get good funding. They also need to get good salaries. And when I get to parliament, that is among the things that we will prioritize and advocate for as we do our legislation role in the parliament. Yeah. Then, among other things, of course, we will establish a community resource center in every location, complete with ICT infrastructure in order to enhance literacy levels and facilitate information exchange. There are so many things we plan to do when it comes to education. With the right time, we will show you what we can do and what we will do. Okay. Yeah.
And I just heard when I asked you about infrastructure, you just mentioned so slightly about health and the healthcare system. You know, this is so key. And we right now, SHA was rolled out by the government, and people are opposing it. And I know it is also the same in Ugunja as a constituency. So, but aside that one, we also need some other support. Even in these health centers, we have dispensaries, we have different, just these small community health centers. So, and the infrastructure, the ambulances that they need to have, the facilities that they need to have, the number of doctors and even the nurses they have there, it's a key to a community and a constituency as a place. So is there a plan also you have for this?
Of course. Health is very important, and health is very expensive. So the more our people are healthy, the better. We need to actually advocate for the elevation of some of our sub-district hospitals, which have been there for some time now, to be elevated to a fully fledged level 5, which is equipped with modern X-ray, ultrasound, CT scan, MRI facilities, among others. Then we'll also advocate for the upgrading of, you see, if you look at Sigomre, Rambola, Sikalame, and Simenya health centers, we want to ensure that we advocate for them so that they are upgraded from just a mere dispensary level to a sub-district hospital, maybe category of level 4, with the commensurate capacity and equipment. So this is very possible because as you do your legislation role, your representation role, you have all the powers to approach the responsible ministry at the national government for you to do this. You can also use your links to do this, even at the time when now we will have the CDF out of it. But as long as CDF is still there, we can also ensure that the CDF is used appropriately so that we do these things. We will advocate for the allocation of an ambulance in each primary healthcare facility in the constituency to facilitate referral of complicated medical cases and save lives. Because you remember, we lose some lives which can actually be saved if we had the right equipment, if we had the right ambulance that takes them to where they can be handled the way it should. So we will do that. And then we will establish partnerships with churches, because if the national governments establish partnerships with churches and it works, why can't we do it as a community? Because we have several churches within the community that we can partner with to and other non-profit organizations to supplement the provision of healthcare in the village level, so that every village can access healthcare. Then we will also ensure that we support the healthcare institutions and orphanages, and also ensure that we advocate for the general health-related campaigns. And every year again, we will be having a constituency awareness day for our health programs, so that we are aware, you are aware of yourself as a man, as a woman, as a child, as an elderly person, of your health status. We bring people to do, they help us when it comes to eye problems, teeth problems, like everything, so that we have a community which is healthy and productive.
And aside your plan for the people of Ugunja, you know, for a successful campaign, there are a lot of things that are needed to be in place. You need finances to facilitate your campaign, and also you've spoken about you're not going to focus on giving handouts. Is it something you have as a plan during your campaign, or what's the big deal about it?
Of course, what I know with the people is very simple. The culture you inculcate in people, that is the very culture that grows. And I don't really want to inculcate a culture that will in the end make people feel it is their right for the handouts, when in real sense it is their right to have good paying jobs, to have a good conducive environment for them to invest in. So I'm not going to concentrate on handouts. And actually, as a young person, I don't really buy the idea that a handout would help in the end. And so I seriously advocate for people-based campaigns, so that we have the people themselves give every candidate a chance to speak to them, let them assess what these candidates are capable of doing without chaos, without being chaotic. And then at the end of the day, let the people of Ugunja choose one person who is the best for them. And in this case, I seriously believe that that person is me. Instead of handouts, brother, let us have different groups: women, the elderly, those who are living with disabilities, the youth. Let us have clubs, different clubs. Everyone has a club. And then we channel whatever we have as a community, as we also try and drive for other funds from elsewhere, to ensure that these clubs are up and running, and these clubs are actually giving them something that is long term, now and in the future, something that can even help their kids in the future, an investment. Yeah. So in all, I promise to be accessible, reachable, and make Ugunja people proud, and represent all Ugunja people honestly and respectfully to the best of my abilities.
How do you plan to reach your message to the our granddads back deep in the village?
Of course, we'll work there.
Okay.
Once the IBC is in place, campaigns time is not yet there. The campaigns have not yet started. Whatever people are doing, of course, people are making themselves known. But when the right time comes, when we now have a day and a date with the people that this is the day for the election, and the campaigns are now official, we will be at home.
Are you going to run on ODM ticket?
I won't really talk of my party now, because it is not the right time to do that. But I can comfortably say that I'm still consulting with the constituents in Ugunja. But at the end of the day, what I can advise my people, even if it is not in my case, even if I go with ODM, or even if any other person goes with ODM, because ODM is our party at home anyway. It is our home party. What I'd advise our people is that let us not look at the party politics. Let us not consider parties, but let us look at what we really want to achieve at the end. And what we want to achieve at the end, it is not the political party that will give us, but the individuals we put in office. Let us look for somebody who will champion for our rights, somebody who respects us as a people, and somebody who will unite us as a community to help us work together. Let us avoid the clan battles, the clan politics, and all that. I know clans have their votes with them. Every clan has its votes. But why can't we work together as Ugunja people with the true Ugunja spirit, and then achieve exactly what we need to achieve? Yes. So when it comes to party, I'll speak about that when the right time comes. I'm still consulting here and there with my people back home, and also my advisors. Yeah.
I'm sure we still have a lot to talk about, also deliberating on what must be in place and what must be done, and also speaking to different people to hear what they have to say. And just for now, what's your final message to the people of Ugunja?
To the people of Ugunja, my fellow citizens of Ugunja Constituency, I'd advise us all, both the old, the young, the elderly, like all of us in Ugunja, it is high time we understood the politics of our community. And it is important that we understand exactly what politics is supposed to produce, and what role politics play in our lives. And until we are politically mature, then we will always be misled, led astray, maneuvered, or deceived into supporting someone politically who doesn't have the good of our community at heart. Have that in mind.
Oh, thank you so much. This is DMB Kenya. Ensure you subscribe to our channel, like our video, and also share your thoughts in the comment section below.